Redditors, what is the worst case of I don't know how to operate this everyday object you've seen? I was checking into a hotel and asked if I could get access to the conference room to start setting up for the training I would be conducting all week. The lady at the desk was adamant we hadn't booked their conference room for a full week. It had only been booked for today. We went back and forth for a little bit until she got out the schedule book to show me. The schedule book was just a spiral bound book with calendar pages. She points at today the 31st and says, "See, there's nothing after this." I screamed internally and turned the page to show that reality didn't end at midnight and our company name was indeed written in every day that week. She didn't give me any trouble after that. My roommate didn't know to cut the lemon fruits in half before he tried to juice it. I just got back from a vacation. This isn't the worst thing, but it's on my mind right now. It's how bad people are at getting their luggage off of the luggage thing at the airport. Like, people were literally falling over unable to grab their baggage. It was sad to watch. I dropped an ice cube on the floor once and threw it in the sink. My roommate at the time was flabbergasted. She had never thought of that and always put dropped ice cubes in the garbage. As the youngest in the office, I'm now the official printer guy. Anyone has a problem with the printer, they come to me dumbfounded. Sometimes it's just the machine telling them there's a jam and they refuse to read the display telling them where the issue is. Actually, reading error messages is such a rare and valuable skill. There's an entire industry for it. I worked desk-side IT support at a Fortune 10 company. There was a director of some super important division. I think it was involved with the launch of new products. Like all directors there, he had an assistant. Unlike the rest of the director's assistants, she had the biggest printer we supported sitting right next to her and connected directly to her PC. It wasn't even on the network, so no one could use it but her. Turns out, it's because every day, this woman comes in, prints every email the director got single-sided, and puts a huge butt pile on his desk when it's done. He then goes through every one, of course, immediately trashing 99% of them, and handwrites replies on the back. She then stays late every day to type them up and send them, all because this dude found Outlook too challenging. Another job created by the stupidity of the shielded. My boss doesn't know how to forward emails. He also doesn't know how the printer scanner works. He will call me over to his office, have me print an email, then he'll tell me to scan what I just printed and send it to the person he wants to send it to. My 70-year-old dad frustratedly shaking the pepper grinder at an Italian restaurant. My 70-year-old parents are just like that too. They have finally figured out that some are grinders and they will turn it over and over several times looking really confused. I'm sorry, you have to take the cap off the pepper first, but the salt isn't a grinder, and they keep twisting at it anyway. So sad. Roomed with a girl who did not know how to open a can. Alright, you tricky can, you win this round. Who knows what secrets you hide within? Megan, it's chicken noodle soup, not the dependency code. Had a kid at one of my jobs not know how to use a broom. He swept back and forth as a cartoon would. Oh no lol, I do the cartoon motion when I sweep my small sidewalk. It looks goofy as heck. I can only imagine what that kid looked like. I got stuck in a Mini Cooper. I could not find the door handle. My friend, who owned the car, let me out when she was done laughing. I had this happen when my friend let me drive his Tesla. Couldn't figure out how to open the door to get in or get out. Just started touching stuff and eventually the car released me from my captivity. My sister-in-law had a flatmate who never cleaned up after himself in the toilet. There was always poop left. My sil and their other flatmate were annoyed, but didn't want to embarrass him by telling him. When they were moving out and cleaning the apartment, the others told the poop guy to clean the bathroom and pointed to the toilet brush and told him to make sure to use that too. When they came in a while later to see how it was going, he was using the toilet brush, but not in the toilet. He was using it to clean the walls. This guy was in his late 20s and had no idea what a toilet brush was used for. I'm gonna say that's kinda on them as well to ask the guy who always leaves the toilet crappy to clean the toilet. As an IT manager at a small office, I'll just say the majority of people when it comes to understanding and operating a Windows computer. The amount of people that get hung up and stop working over the most minor issues is astounding. To want to prove yourself more efficient and put yourself ahead of 90% of the current workforce? Learn basic proficiency in how to operate a Windows 10 PC. My mom and Gmail. Quote, "No, I don't need a password to log in. Now get my emails back." I get older generations are not as tech savvy, not having grown up with computers and internet. But come on, you've had that stupid computer for at least 10 bloody years. You must have picked up on the basics by now. One time, my wife and I were at Taco Time. They have one of those touchscreen Coke machines. Unfortunately, we were in the back of a long line that wasn't moving because the group in front couldn't figure out where the ice was or how to make the Coke come out. So my wife goes to the front and asks if they need help. She ended up taking several minutes describing the machine, where the ice was, where the Coke was, and how you could add different flavors to your drink. I was proud of her both for teaching those people, and also for using our drinks as her demonstration. Pretty smooth line cut. Deserved it too. Nice. I almost stapled my hand or my face with a staple gun if my teacher hadn't intervened in time. I had never seen one in my life and was just handed one to put up some posters. I'm not sure how I held it, but it was wrong enough for the teacher to dive over like a baseball home run. Sir, that is an anti-tank weapon, and you're pointing it at your face. Served in the army for a brief time with a girl who didn't know you had to rinse clothes after you soap them while manually doing laundry. We had incidents where our laundry services would be woefully behind schedule, so occasionally, you had to do some sink laundry here and there. She would get hers wet, soap it up, and then just hang it and wonder why hers always came out worse than everyone else's. A guy on my floor in the dorms was kind of the opposite. He freaked out one time because he spilt blue liquid laundry soap into his laundry basket that was filled with dirty clothes. He freaked out because he thought the blue soap would stain the clothes. Wearing a medical mask around your mouth, but leaving your nose completely exposed. I asked someone about that once. I was told it was because it was too hard to breathe through the mask, so that way they could just breathe through their nose, but still be safe. Aha. A friend got a call from her cousin who recently went to college. "Hey, so I'm about to do laundry. How should I sort the clothes? Is it by brand?" At least she knew they need to be sorted. Personally, I sort by dirty or clean. My girlfriend never used a toaster until 4 years ago. She inserted 2 slices of toast and started the toaster. When she thought the toast may be finished, she took a metal knife and wanted to get the toast slices out of the toaster by picking it up with the knife. I just noticed a second before she would have put that knife into the electric heating wire and shouted, "What are you doing?" from across the room. Maybe I saved her life. Now she knows toasters stop automatically after the preset time, or you stop it by pushing the respective button rather than killing yourself. Grad students are kind of the epitome of specialized knowledge. I used to hang out with a couple of guys who knew more about non-profit organization laws than I knew there was to know, but I frequently had to teach them things like how to make microwave oatmeal, how to make a graph in Excel, and what a thesaurus was. Carpooled with a guy who had a PhD in physics, laser designer, kept asking me things like, how does a car work? How does a record player work? I see examples every time I'm watching people putting carry-ons in the overhead bins on planes. Like whatever part of their brain is responsible for geometry, and even the level of understanding of a toddler, goes completely dark. You can see it in their faces, frustrated and completely baffled why they can't fit their luggage in there, and I just want to scream, "Turn it sideways, you freaking idiot." Edit. And just for fun regarding flights, there was the dude who jammed up the baggage drop trying to persuade the attendants to let his extra 150 kilograms of checked baggage slide for free. Dude had 200 kilograms worth of luggage. I'd never seen anything like it. And for my own stupidity, there was the time I was in the check-in assistance line for about 20 minutes with my head down before looking around at everyone else and thinking, wait now, something's wrong here. I asked someone what flight the line is for. Jamaica. I must have looked pretty dumb ditching the line after being there all that time. It was me, operating a self-checkout at Walmart. I scanned a thing, and held it in my right, then proceeded to try to scan the next thing using my left hand. The machine said please place item in bagging area like 15 times. I just stared at it like it was speaking Swahili. The checkout person had to help me. I was completely sober. I just vapor locked. I have no idea WTF happened. My old roommate claimed she was the smartest person around. I thought she was smart enough, I guess, but then she bought her first wallet. I turned around to her trying to force the wallet shut with the cards in the wrong way. She insisted the wallet was manufactured incorrectly because the wallet wouldn't close with the card sitting upright. I silently took the wallet, turned one card 90 degrees, handed it back to her, and went back to what I was doing. A housemate of mine once put something in the microwave that was covered in tin foil. Not a foil lid, something she had covered in actual foil to reheat. I saw it happen out of the corner of my eye and dived in to open the microwave before anything went wrong. She got very angry and said, "What the frick are you doing? I'm trying to cook my lunch. What's your problem?" I said something along the lines of, "Look mate, you can't put tin foil in a microwave." She told me to frick off and I sat down in the corner of the kitchen to eat my food while she tried to do it again. When the microwave sparked and made a fuss like it was going to catch fire, she started screaming and turned the microwave off at the wall, while I sat there with a smug grin on my face. I wanted to say "See, told you so," but I felt the smug grin was probably enough. A guy I know had his in-laws move in with him for a while. They were very traditional, very religious types where the man was the head of the household and the woman did the woman's work. Super conservative. My friend told me that his father-in-law came into the garage one day when he was cleaning up and asked what he could do. My friend told him that he was almost done and only had some heavy items to put away, so he told the Phil that he could sweep up and handed him the broom and dustpan. Phil said, "Okay, how do I do that?" Walking on a treadmill. I am not talking about operating or using the controls, simply walking on it. I work in healthcare and perform stress tests in the hospital. You would not believe how many people, old and young, that don't understand how to walk on a treadmill. Many people try to just march in place before almost being flung off the back. Some people have absolutely no natural survival skills or instincts. They'd be fricked if they were attacked by a treadmill in the wild. New hire was asked to mop the back room when I worked at a coffee shop. It's a mop, I thought. No one needs to be taught how to use a mop. Well, this dude lifts the mop up, dips just the ends of the mop into the soap water, and proceeded to lightly brush the floor with wet mop tips like he was doing a giant-sized calligraphy project. That bring up an oddly endearing mental image. I worked at a gas station in Pennsylvania. Occasionally, we had customers with no idea how to put gas in their car. They'd shrug and say, "I'm from New Jersey. New Jersey doesn't allow self-service gas stations." Church Camp Lothies many years ago. Last night, cabin cleaning time. Girl started crying while holding a broom because she didn't know how to sweep. The maid does this at home. She wasn't being a prima donna either. She was genuinely lost. I had a maid when I was younger and I knew how to sweep. Has she not watched a movie or? Although I've seen a lot of people sweep back and forth like in a cartoon. I think of myself as a smart guy. A couple of months ago I warned my girlfriend against using the car horn too much in case it runs out. Immediately after she asked me what the heck I meant, I realized I've never seen or heard of anyone going to get their horn refilled. Full disclosure, I still don't fully get car horns. Unless you are talking about air horns used on large trucks. Car horns are just small, crude and robust speakers that broadcast a single tone. They are powered by your car's battery, which is constantly charged by the alternator connected to your engine. Air horns on trucks use air from an onboard air compressor and air tank that also powers the air brakes. I work in a bakery, making specialty cakes. Every now and then someone will order a specific design they found on the internet. Sometimes there are print screen attachments they send by email. Every now and then someone will give me an actual photograph they took of their computer screen. Like, they took the picture, had it developed and brought it in person to the bakery. Ketchup pump. Worked at a restaurant for a summer in college, expediting for the kitchen, getting sides, fixing plating. We had a new guy come a few weeks after me, obviously chock full of nerves. I asked him to fill up 20 ramekins with ketchup for a big order coming up. Literally all you have to do is hold the ramekin under the faucet and push down on the pump. It's exactly like you would see at every single fast food joint that lets you get your own sauces. Despite showing him several times exactly how to fill these cups with ketchup, it still took him 15 minutes and about 30 more questions to get the simple task done. It's not like he was a dumb guy, but I swear the only thing he ended up being good for in the 3 months I worked there was clearing tables and doing dishes. Everything else just left him entirely unsure of himself, to the point where he couldn't do anything. That sounds more like a psychological disorder than anything. Every person that has ever used a friend's shower ever. My friend, 17ish at the time, had never seen a pizza slicer before and didn't know how to use it. You use the round disc as a metal pepperoni. You can also rattle the handle to make a miniature symbol if you've got to do some percussion work while in your local Papa John's. Not mine, but my good friend is a manager in some student accommodation. He's not actually that much older than the students, so the ridiculous situations he finds them in are even more perplexing. One time he gets a call from a student saying there's smoke filling the shared space and they don't know what to do. So my friend calls the fire brigade and runs up to where their dorm is. Comes in the door and sure enough the place is filled with smoke. He looks over and sees 5 students just sitting on a couch in the smoke with their t-shirts held over their mouths. He's like, WTF are y'all doing? They hadn't even opened a window or at very least gtfo. He instantly assessed that they'd left some old greasy tray in the oven. So he opens it up, grabs it and chucks it into the sink. Instead of actually dealing with it, they just sat there in a room rapidly filling with arid smoke. He was in total disbelief. A guy came up to his office absolutely furious and genuinely upset that someone had stolen his clothes from the washing machine. My mate thought this was dubious but he went along with it. They get to the laundry room and the guy points at the machine and indignantly says, "Look, see, cue my blood fascipaming. The washing machine is still running full speed and this frickin' moron couldn't grasp the concept of clothes being pressed against the drum from the centrifugal force." If you ever want some serious amusement, hand any programmer a device made for non-technical people. Seriously, I am a programmer and work with many more, and it frequently takes 5 or more of us to figure out how to work a projector, a smart TV, or some more complicated office chairs. I am not joking. Guilty. I can't work an office phone, can't put calls on hold, can't forward a call, but I designed and developed an enterprise-level data warehouse. In my defense, the buttons on the phones aren't marked hold or forward or whatever. We had a young employee at a call center who got a busy signal from the number she called, and she didn't understand what it was. To be honest, I don't think I've heard one in years. They must still be a thing, but I'd guess it's getting exceeding rare. I worked at the front desk of my dorm while in college. The first week of school a freshman came over with an envelope and asked how to address it, everything explaining that an address is written on 3 lines, one above the other, to which corner the stamp goes on. It was actually fabulous because he was sending a thank you note to his aunt. It's just that his mom had always done it for him in the past. That's pretty great, and it's exactly the reason that it's so important for people to get out from under their parents' wings. Preferably in a semi-controlled environment like that, where there's someone to ask, and at least some of life's basic necessities are still taken care of, the shallow end of the pool, as it were. I had to teach my brother how to drive his car through the car wash. Mind you, I was 17 and had not yet started driving myself. We got to the gas station, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, you go out with dad all the time. How do I get a car wash?" I stared at him bewildered, then told him to go inside and say he wanted to buy a car wash, which wash, and then to pay and bring out his receipt. He does this, then asks me what he should do next. I told him to drive to the car wash, so he did. He seriously sat there and asked me what to do next. I told him you roll your window down, type in the code on the receipt, and then you drive in. He did exactly that. He drove in, and we started getting hosed. I yelled at him, "And you put the window up. You put the window up." It never occurred to me that I would need to tell someone that you don't leave your windows down in a car wash. When I worked in a coffee shop, this lady came storming up to me and started yelling that our takeaway cups were terrible. I asked her what was wrong and she proceeded to tell me that she had put the cup into her handbag and coffee had spilled everywhere. She opened the bag to show me and there was the cardboard takeaway cup mashed between a hard shell glasses case and a paperback book. Oh honey, no. 5/8 of my old roommates, college dorm days, had no idea how to use a washer and dryer, let alone do their own laundry. My brother shared a college house with 5 dudes whose mothers would take turns coming over once a week to completely clean the house and do their laundry. These clowns somehow decided my brother should be made fun of for doing all that for himself. 18-year-old co-worker can't read an analog clock. Realize that's probably gonna become more and more common in future generations. I know how to read an analog clock, I just don't see them a lot so it takes me a bit. Sometimes I feel stupid when I'm staring at a clock for a minute trying to tell the time. Yeah me, trying to use those butterfly can openers. I've tried many times and just can't seem to master it, despite being shown over and over. I can use the other ones just fine, but I've yet to not absolutely butcher a can whilst trying to use those butterfly ones. Embarrassing. My roommate in college and I go grocery shopping. He picks up some taco shells, reads the directions and puts it back down, then picks them back and says, "Man, tacos would be so good tonight but we have no idea how to brown meat." I told him to get the tacos and I'd teach him how to cook. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. Like and subscribe you magnificent person.